Hey there, it's Sunday morning, and I just released the video on making... Hey there, it's Sunday morning, and I just released the video on making this. I'm calling this my no snag sanding block. I originally made this thing right here a couple of years ago. Hang on, let me knock the dust off without covering myself with it. Okay, so this holds a full sheet of sandpaper and makes it so that you can sand stuff on the surface without, catching on the edge. You're using the whole surface of the sandpaper. And so when I made this, I thought, okay, it'd be neat if you could make a sander that would work the same way. And so I designed it in wood. Now, it was a lot different from this, okay? This is really a lot further refined than my original design. And it's more compact, and it's a lot simpler. And I got there by designing it for 3D printing. This is the original, this is close to the original wood design right here. Okay, so you can see the square cutouts in the corners, the bulk of the frame that goes around. This is actually the first redesign that I 3D printed. I went through a bunch of different designs until I got to this, and I thought this was awesome. But using it, I discovered that, it has the same problem as every other sander in that the handle is like it turns your wrist over like that. You got to hold, like if you're holding it straight, you don't have to hold it straight. You can hold it at an angle. But I said to myself, if you're going to hold it on an angle and keep your wrist straight, why not put the handle on an angle, right? And make it easier to grip. Make it more comfortable to grip, because this is big and all that, but like your fingers don't get in around it, right? So it's not really comfortable to hold for a long time. Okay, and sanding is something, if you're into woodworking, that you're going to have to do for a long time. Now the big difference with this one is that the pad and the frame are tapered so that it can't fall out. Whereas this one isn't. I was going to make it tapered, but then I thought, that'll add a lot of complication to the build, and I didn't want to get into it, but you can see it can fall out. All right, so it would be better if it was tapered or stepped or something like that. Or it's even better in the long run if you have a 3D printer or access to one, like say a friend has one or whatever, to 3D print one. Okay, it's lighter. I think it's not as strong as wood can be, but it's very durable, very tough. Okay, so yeah, that was this week's project. Next week's project, if I have one next week, there's no guarantee. It's another test on the bandsaw here. I tried something else on the bandsaw. And if you can see, I'll move the camera so you can see better. I actually changed the hub on the bandsaw wheel to one that fits tighter in the holes that I made in the outer wheel. And I said, well, here's another opportunity for you to test the strength of something. So I pulled that blue hub off that was glued on with polyurethane, not polyurethane, but super glue, and it came off in bits. It came off in pieces. First of all, here's the one that came off the other side that was glued on with polyurethane construction adhesive. It was holding it, no problem, but it could break off in one piece. So if you're looking for something like that, that will hold it, but you could maybe disassemble it in the future, that would be the glue to use. But the super glue, it came off in pieces. Like I had to chip it off. And then I had to sand it. You can see it's a little bit scuffed there. I had to sand the rest of it off. So the super glue really held on well. And this is printed with Petchy and this is PLA. But when I reprinted these hubs, I just used PLA because I think it's strong enough. So getting back to the strength, now I had some comments about strength in that video. And what you mostly have out in the world now, so far, with 3D printing is people looking at what they want to make that exists in the real world, say a hook to hang your clothes on, made from hard plastic, something like that, you know, something that loops over the top of a door or something. I can 3D print that, they'll say. So what they do is they copy it. However, the 3D printed part is not strong enough to support the load because the plastic is going in layers and not monolithic like an extrusion. It has to be a lot stronger. It has to be bigger. That's how you get more strength. So they take an item in the real world and they say, well, I can 3D print that. It'd be the same if I took this like an aluminum bandsaw wheel, you know how spindly those things can be, and said, okay, I'm going to design a bandsaw wheel and copy that. It wouldn't be strong enough because aluminum is a lot stronger than plastic, and you need to, you know, compensate for that. You need to make up for that strength. So you do that by making the part either chunkier or making the parts of it thicker. So my wheel here, which has been under tension for more than a week now and is still running fine. You know, it's running perfectly now, by the way, with the new hubs. I'll start it up. You see it's perfect. And it's been under tension for, like I say, more than a week, actually. I haven't released the tension on it, and it still hasn't deformed. The reason is that I made it strong enough. The shell of this wheel is 1.5 millimeters thick. So the face you see here is 1.5 millimeters thick. The other side is 1.5 millimeters thick. This rim, this hole that looks like it might weaken it, but actually adds strength, is 5 layers. The wall thickness of this is 5 layers. All of the wall thickness of the whole print is 5 layers, including these places where it joins. So you got a lot of plastic. You got a lot of bulk in there, even if it's not taking up a lot of room because it's inside. So as you can see, this week's video is a woodworking project, and I'm going to be doing more. I know a lot of people think that as soon as you start doing something else, you're never going to do anything but that, but that's not the case. I'll be doing more woodworking projects. But I've had a chance to rethink my plans for moving into the shed. I don't think I'm going to be doing that this summer. I need to wait and see. I was thinking about it, and I was out there and I was doing some stuff, and then the weather got really warm. And it got really warm in that shed. And here I am in this shop, which is really well insulated. And it stays, okay, right now it's 16.5 degrees in here, Celsius. And it's around 22 degrees outdoors. So it never gets above 22 degrees in here, ever, during the hottest part of the summer. And I know people think, well, you're living in Canada, it doesn't get hot there. Well, yes, it does. It gets up to sometimes 30, 32 degrees in the summer, you know, occasional days. And often we'll get a stretch of days when it's 26, 27, 28 degrees Celsius and humid, and it never gets warm in here. So that's what I was thinking. I was out there working on that and sweating, and I said, I came in here to make some cuts. And it was so nice in here. I said, what are you doing, John? You know, you've got it so good in here and you've worked so hard to make it good in here. And now you're gonna throw it away and go out in that little shed and sweat in the summer and freeze to death in the winter? I don't think so. Not this summer, anyway.
Tom and April were excellent witnesses in my defense. Unfortunately, every single word out of their mouths was a lie. There's only one thing I hate more than lying. Skim milk, which is water that's lying about being milk.